This is the GoPro Hero 7 Black. If you guys did not get the hint bomb I dropped in the last video, well, that's what that big 7 was about, was because we were getting the brand new GoPro Hero 7 Black. I had to wait patiently for the past 3 weeks, reasons being is because my friend Vincent helped me out with this bad boy, and also I wasn't in that big of a rush or that much of a rush, so I just waited patiently to get this thing in my hands. And now that it is in my hands, it's time to go ahead and unbox and do a little bit of a test run. So Vincent and I actually had a lot to do on that Friday, so I had to wait for a pretty good amount of time in order for me to open this thing up. But the big thing that I realized that when I opened it up is that it was actually a little bit bigger than I thought it would be. I mean, it's not huge, it's an action camera, but it looked a little bit smaller in people's hands in videos and pictures. The GoPro Hero 7 is a big leap forward for the GoPro brand. When I first watched the video for this bad boy, I was stoked. I think the first video that I watched on this was Casey Neistat's review, and the hyper smooth, the slow motion just looked absolutely amazing. And to hear that they improved the audio on this was a big deal too. I did like the way that this thing was displayed and the packaging inside of this thing, because if you spend $400 on a small action camera like this, then the unboxing experience better be good, and it definitely was. You have to unlink it from the top of the box, but then you actually have to open the box before you even get excited about the camera, because that's where all the accessories are. So you open up the white box and you get yourself a couple of adhesive mounts. One is curved, one is flat. Flat ones are for, you know, basic surfaces, but then the curved one is for like helmets or stuff like that that's actually curved. And then you go ahead and get yourself a charging cord. Obviously you're going to need to charge this bad boy, and you already get one battery. I did order another battery for the dual battery charger, but the dual battery charger was on back order, so I have to wait on that. But I did have an extra battery on me when I ordered this thing, because my accessories came in before the actual camera did. You take it out of the housing, because the housing is how you mount the things and how you do that, and then you're opened up with the basic camera. And to be quite honest, when you're looking at the basic camera, it looks pretty amazing. That, like, this matte finish right here that it has. You see that big screen, and you know, you get that thing. So then you go ahead and go down here, you go down to the bottom part, and then you press the button, you unlatch everything, and then you see 2 ports. You see the battery port and you see the micro SD card port. Drop the battery in there. It has about 20% on it. You are going to have to charge this up a little bit in order to update it on the GoPro app, which is exactly what they want you to do in the very beginning. So you go ahead and drop in the battery there, and then you drop in the SD card. You go ahead and close it up. It does not turn on automatically, so no surprises there. You then have to turn it on, and then it'll turn on, and it'll give you a nice big Hero 7 Black onto the little front screen. And then you turn it over, and it just has GoPro, and you get to see the image quality that it already has set forth. And to be quite honest, you're really excited to use this camera. You have to go through a couple of setup processes, but I did not add this to the video because that's kind of boring. Now, I didn't do anything too big when I went out to go test this on Saturday. I didn't really want to do anything too special because I want to do something with friends. I want to go out surfing, and then I want to go out skating, a little land and water kind of test with the GoPro Hero 7. So this was kind of just like me taking it out for a field test, I guess you could say. But anyway, so this is the test video that I actually made. It's actually on Instagram, but we're going to go ahead and show it again because it's only 15 seconds. So go ahead and check out the footage. So you saw the video resolution, you saw its potential, but you really want to know everything about this camera. So let's go ahead and get into a little bit of the specs and a little bit of what this camera can do. Now, when I heard that they improved the audio on this bad boy, I was actually very, very glad to hear that, because a big problem was with the Session series, with the 5 and with the 6, is that they all became waterproof out of the box. Now, that's a big issue when it comes to audio, especially on cameras, is because they have a little, what would you say? You know, it's just that the system that they use in order to waterproof everything, to waterproof the mics, it's just going to make it really muffled whenever there's wind or whenever there's water in it. But right off the bat, when I was watching the footage from the first video that I actually took on this bad boy. Okay guys, so we're filming on the GoPro Hero 7 Black on 2.7K. We're on 30 frames per second right now, and we're on linear mode. And so usually we're used to 1080p at 60 frames per second, but we're doing 2.7K with a little bit better resolution. And then we also have the what is it called? The hyper smooth. The hyper smooth stabilization that's built into the GoPro. And I'm on the skateboard right now, and skateboarding usually is a lot of shake.
But we're gonna see how this works out.
I was very impressed with the audio quality. Now, it's not the best, but cars were going on, I was riding a skateboard, wind was going through this thing, but you were able to still hear my voice pretty loud and clearly. So that was the thing that I was very impressed with. Big selling point with this camera is the hyper smooth video. Now, I think people are blowing it out of proportion when people say that this is the gimbal killer. Obviously, this is not going to be a very exact gimbal-like footage. But GoPro has a thing going on where with the 4s and the 5s and the 6s, people are actually taking gimbals. They're actually taking gimbals and mounting them onto the chest mount or onto the head mount or just mounting them somewhere and then putting the camera on. That is what they're trying to eliminate when it comes to this camera. You're not going to need a $100 gimbal, mount that to your chest, and have to worry about breaking it while you're doing all this action. You're just going to be able to mount this and you're going to be able to get really stabilized video. But the thing that sold it for me is when I was holding it with the grip and I was actually like doing like a little self thing. I was filming myself and I was going down this hill and it's right next to the beach. So this hill has a lot of sand on it and usually I foot brake to stop. But the foot brake wasn't working because, hey, it's sand. It's just going to keep on rolling my foot. So I had to jump off my board, but I was still holding the camera and recording, and it actually smoothed out a lot of the footage.
Woo! Yikes, this is fast. And sandy. Yoinks.
Now I guarantee you if I had my 4 and if I had that mounted to the little selfie stick that I have, and if I jumped off my board, you would be seeing a lot of shake. But with this camera handled it like a champion. And when I say selfie stick, I actually meant the El Grande that GoPro actually held out with. Now, I actually bought a lot of accessories to go with my GoPro because I was very excited about the Hero Black coming into my hands. But as soon as I knew that I needed high quality stuff, and GoPro gives you the best accessories. And to be quite honest, you can't argue with that. So I got the El Grande. Now, for the large amount of accessories, I was kind of sad that I didn't use them all. But I'm very glad that I used this one, because this one I was able to use for almost everything. I was able to reach it into the branches, I was able to take myself, I was able to set it on stuff and take pictures. I was able to do a lot of things just with this one thing. I even forgot my tripod that you can put on the bottom of this thing, and yet I was still able to stick it in places, I was still able to rest it on places, and it was able to take amazing photos. A big item that actually impressed me with the GoPro Hero 7 is the photos. The photos were really amazing. Apparently they do amazing HDR photos. GoPro put the HDR system inside this camera, and now it could take amazing photos. I think that was a big problem with when I had the 4. It didn't take really that good of photos. It looked like GoPro video, and you looked like you took a screenshot of GoPro video, and that was basically it. But with this bad boy, it takes HDR photos. The color is absolutely amazing. I recommend keeping the GoPro color on because, to be quite honest, a lot of people say it's really saturated. I agree with that statement, but when you're at the beach, you kind of want saturated because the beach is kind of like that saturated figure. So, you know, I like it. Alright, last couple of things. When I heard that this thing can do 240 frames per second slow motion, I was over the hill excited, and that's what you saw in the 15-second video, was that 240 frames per second video going in action. Bro, you can see every detail when it comes to that kind of 240 frame per second video. Alright, now this is a big thing with the Hyper Smooth, is that I actually used to have the GoPro Hero 2015, that little gray camera, that looked like it was in a GoPro housing, but you were never able to take it out of the housing, so it was kind of weird. But a big thing that happened was that I actually mounted it onto the roof or to the top of my longboard to get some film, and it was all shake. It was just all the way through. It wasn't even usable, gave you headaches, it was terrible. I mounted this thing because I was curious. I kind of got like a little bit of my board and a little bit of a wheel in a shot, and it was barely shaking. Now I was going down a hill, and then I transferred it to sidewalk, and then bumps, and then train tracks, and bro, the Hyper Smooth on this thing is absolutely insane. Another big thing that I love about this 7 is the fact that the footage looks amazing. Now, a lot of people kind of get mad when it comes to GoPros and the footage is because you're able to tell if it's GoPro footage. It has like the fish lens, it's a little grainy, it doesn't look that good, the colors aren't that really clear, the sharpness isn't really that good. And then you look at GoPro's website And GoPro's website has all this amazing footage, and you know, it's so spot on, it's so clean, it looks absolutely amazing. But then you go ahead and buy it, and you're like, that doesn't look like the footage from GoPro.com. Now, obviously, they do a lot of work on their videos, and they do a lot of things, but so do people on their videos, and yet still they can't get that same quality that the GoPro puts on their website. But with this camera, I feel like you are able to get it with a couple of basic edits. If you go into the Pro Tune settings on this bad boy, and if you really pick and choose your settings, then you're going to be able to get some amazing footage. I was very impressed with how this footage looked for GoPro footage. Now, when you look at the GoPro Hero 5, it's really unsaturated, it's really grainy, I don't like it, it's very flat. When you look at the GoPro Hero 6, it's minor improvements, they're good, they're okay, yeah, sure. When it comes to this camera, and color, the sharpness, everything is absolutely amazing on this camera. It looks pretty decent. Now, actually, that was with no color correction, that was with GoPro Color. I wanted to go ahead and show you guys what this camera can do almost straight out of the box. You are going to have to mess around with the Pro Tune settings on this camera for a little bit, but guess what? That's how good of footage that you can get when it comes to the 7. Now, I'm not done with the 7. I want to go surfing. I also kind of want to do an entire vlog with this camera. I just want to see the amount of power that this boy has. I want to test out the audio a little bit more. I want to be able to do a lot of things on this camera. I think the next video will answer the question whether I use this camera for vlogging from now on, because the inner stabilization is amazing, but you guys already know that I'm using a gimbal with my phone right now. That was just a little preview. See, I could just move it around, and it's only going to move a little bit, because I'm using the gimbal right now on my phone, and to be quite honest, that's pretty amazing. But will the GoPro be able to, you know, compete with that? That's the question. But I think it has a chance of running up with the gimbal on the phone. And another thing is that I want to compare the inner stabilization with the gimbal, because I'm actually able to fit the GoPro into this gimbal. But I'm only going to do a couple of tests, and I'm not going to be using the gimbal for this GoPro, because the Hyper Smooth, as I can tell, is already pretty good, but we need to test it for like everyday occurrences. So we'll go ahead and do that in the next video. I'm very excited to test this thing out with friends. I'm sorry that I'm sick. I'm very sick, and I'm sorry about that. So if this video is a little bit, you know, not that good, then that's why. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this amazing video on the GoPro Hero 7. I'm very excited to test this out with friends and to get some more feedback on this bad boy. I want to go ahead and take it surfing. I want to go ahead and take it skating and see what we can do. But anyway, that'll be in the next one. So, bye.